Hi, I'm Sam Bird.
Hi, my name's Johnny Adam.
Hi guys, I'm Antonio Felix Acosta.
Hi, I am Jarno Trulli and welcome here at the Downforce Radio.
Hello everyone and welcome to the first edition of the Racing Voice podcast on Downforce Radio. In this show, we're going to be meeting some of the rising stars of motorsport in various different fields. Joining me for the first edition is competitor in the Daniel Ricciardo Series junior category, Alisha Palmowski. Alisha, great to have you on the show and welcome on board.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jake. Can't wait to get started.
Yeah, so obviously you're competing in a very exciting discipline of motor racing. You're in the karting world, as many young drivers are. How did your karting journey actually start? Where did it all begin?
So my great-grandfather was actually a Brisker Formula One stock car driver. So we've always sort of had that motorsport background in my blood and in my family. So my granddad and my dad was always been in the motor trade since then. And then when I was just before my 9th birthday, I was lucky enough just to go on a one-off arrive and drive session at my local indoor track, not expecting anything at all. It was just as a bit of fun. And the minute I sat in the kart, admittedly, I wasn't that quick at the time, but I absolutely loved it. And the minute I came off, I wanted to get straight back in the kart. So from there, we just went back every week and I gradually got quicker and quicker and competed in some indoor karting championships. So that's where it really began for me.
And you've basically gone from being an indoor and rental kart driver to a much higher competition, and obviously something that's really quite competitive. How big a jump is that to go from the world of indoor and rental karting to something on a professional circuit?
Yeah, it was a very big transition, obviously, because the normal route would be to go from two-stroke cadet karts. So in Daniel Ricciardo Series, the DRS 62 karts, which do a sort of speed of about 50 mile an hour. And then you'd normally do the transition and jump up to juniors from there. Whereas obviously the rental kart straight up to junior two-stroke 100cc karts to the big jump. And I was shocked initially at the speed, as I thought 40 mile an hour was quick when I was in the rental karts. But obviously for 2018, when we made the jump up to the Glossop UK Series, it was completely, we had no expectations at all. And it was just a case of seeing whether I enjoyed it really was the main thing, whether I could do it, and just to see how the flow went with no expectations. So I was lucky enough to come out with the rookie championship that year. So it was crazy really, and such a great year, which I'll never forget. It's been an absolutely great experience. And since then it's just grown bigger and bigger. And I love it even more now.
So tell us a little bit about what it's actually like on a race weekend. I mean, your championship is very unique compared to others. So what is the procedure like when you get there on the race circuit weekend?
So obviously with the Daniel Ricciardo Series, it's a very, very equal and competitive series. All the karts, there's limited setup changes that can be made. So every little thing that you can tweak within the rules is so crucial, as 0.2 of a second can be the difference from first to 10th position in, say, qualifying. So it is a lot of hard work for my dad, who spends countless hours trying to find any little improvement that he can make to find those little milliseconds. But yeah, for a weekend, we normally arrive at the track on Friday evening, so that we can get set up, get a good pog on the track. I can do my track walk and make some notes and whatever I need to do. My dad can start setting up the kart and get all that sort of side ready. Before then, the Saturday, where things start to begin on practice day, we have 5 sessions. So that's really about just adapting to the track, learning anything we need to, find any mishaps that happen on the weekend you want to happen on the Saturday, obviously not the Sunday. So obviously Saturday is a crucial day for all that time that you need ahead of Sunday, where you go straight into qualifying. And then Sunday's a very full-on day with 3 races in qualifying. So yeah, that's a typical race weekend, really.
So what is it that you like specifically about racing in the Daniel Ricciardo Series? There are many different karting championships you could choose from at your age and your level. So what is it about the DRS that takes you fancy?
Obviously, we moved into what was the Glossop UK Series before it became the Daniel Ricciardo Series in 2019. My dad was doing all sorts of research, looking at all sorts of series and all that. But what really appealed to us was just how competitive and close it was. And it was really about driver ability, and it wasn't down to funding and cost and who has the best engine, who has the best chassis. And that was a real selling point for us, really, as obviously it's all just down to driver ability, and the best driver will win. That really just attracted us to the series, and it's a really friendly atmosphere as well, as you know yourself, the Glossop UK Series, the Daniel Ricciardo Series.
Well.
It's fantastic. So it's the best choice we've ever made in terms of racing. So yeah, just the equal and competitive side to it, but also the friendly nature. It's and the good cost as well to it. It's just a fantastic combination.
And obviously, as a racing driver, it's a very unusual thing for a teenager to kind of be. I suppose we always think of racing drivers as being, grown adults going and competing on the world stage. So as a teenager who's a racing driver, is it something that, within the local community, is it something that people are aware of? Do people know in your local community what you do? Do they know that you're a racing driver?
Not at all. Obviously, I think I'm one of two teenagers that actually race in my whole school. So, and I know in my community, there's hardly anybody that races. So it is a very rare sport, and obviously being a female as well, obviously shocks quite a few people that I do race. But I'm very supported by my school, and they all think it's absolutely fantastic when they hear about it and when they actually see the speeds. So yeah, it's fantastic. I sort of like being away from the crowd, sort of, because a lot of kids, obviously, you've got football, cricket, all that sort of stuff. So when they say, "What do you do?" and I say, "I'm a racing driver," it is a shock. It is a shock, and it's it's nice. So yeah.
What do they make of it? It must be. It's always fascinated me. It's something that's quite niche within the world of sport. I mean, what do your classmates and your teachers? What do they make of it?
My teachers, I've got my PE teacher actually. He's convinced that he can go quicker than me in a cart, but I'm still waiting for us to go on a reward trip there, so to show him. But yeah, I don't think actually they quite appreciate really the skill behind it, because obviously it can be looked as and deemed as just quite a simple sport, turning a wheel and pressing pedals. So I do get quite a bit of hassle from them that it's easy. But yeah, I think I have had a couple of them come and actually watch me race as a spectator, and they have been shocked at the speed and how competitive it is, and how close wheel to wheel, bumper to bumper we do race.
Well, it's interesting because you're currently in the karting world, but you've been testing the Ginetta Junior car, which is, I guess, the next step up for a teenage racer who wants to move on from karting. What was your first impression making that switch? What was the biggest difference you noticed between driving a race car compared to a kart?
As you say, I competed in the Ginetta Scholarship in December last year. But prior to that, I did have one test day in February 2020. It was now, seems like ages ago. And it was that was purely just a day, because obviously we know that Ginetta, it's the best ground for junior young racers, aspiring racers to make the transition and move into the car world, really. And it was just purely a case of just seeing whether I enjoyed it, whether I could do it, what the crack was behind it, and all that sort of thing. So that test day, it was absolutely fantastic. Obviously, I went in it for the first session, and it's completely different to karting. What I found one of the main differences was actually the brake. Is obviously in a kart, the brake pedal goes all the way down, but then it's all about pressure from there. Whereas I found with a Ginetta brake, it's almost like hitting your foot on a brick wall. It completely doesn't move down at all, which was obviously alien to me. So it's all about pressure and then trailing off the brake as you obviously begin to put steering input. There's a completely different technique to driving the Ginetta than the kart. But I was actually quite surprised how quickly I sort of adapted to it, really. I just loved it, and it seemed like second nature really to me. So I absolutely loved it. And then the Ginetta Scholarship in December, again, we just completely went into that just to see how it all went, see what we went in with no expectations at all, just to see what happened. Eventually, in the end, I came out with a top 8 finish. So, and being told that I was that close to coming into the top 4 and into the final 4 shootout was absolutely crazy. And it was just such a mental, amazing day, a great experience. I'm sure if you speak to my parents, I've never shut up about it since the day. So I speak about it every day. But
I mean, it must be quite an incredible thing when you think that there are so many talented racers that go in for that Ginetta Junior Scholarship program. I mean, you've got drivers who have done British karting and are in race karts week in, week out, spending hundreds of thousands of pounds, and even from the European karting scene and from stock car racing on the mini stocks and the all of these incredible different disciplines of racing. And, you are there from the Daniel Ricciardo Series, which is all about drivers on a low budget with very minimal equipment, and you're there and you're in the heart of it. I mean, what does that do to a racing driver's ego, if you don't mind me asking?
No, yeah, it was amazing. Obviously, as you say, there was such a variety of different drivers from completely different backgrounds. So I remember walking in on the Saturday. I was looking around. I was going, "Oh my God, there's so and so. There's so and so. I know all these people." I was like, "Whoa!"
The names you knew,
exactly.
yeah.
So you're just walking around the paddock, sort of like, "Wow!" But so to be able to hold my own, it was just absolutely crazy. I could never have ever dreamed it, but it was fantastic and really gave me a confidence boost, really, to believe in my own ability.
And obviously, you've gone from that. You've come into the 2021 season, and partly due to COVID, and partly due to travel restrictions and the way things have gone in the recent pandemic, your season starts next week. So you've actually been off for 6 months. I mean, that is a really difficult situation for a driver to be in. So what have you been doing? What have you been able to do in order to keep yourself race fit?
Yeah, as you say, it's been a long time, 6 months, sort of away from actually the racing aspect of it. We have had a few test days, obviously, and I do actually feel as a driver I'm the strongest that I ever have been. From last year, I've felt I've been able to still grow as a driver. And in terms of preparation, I feel I'm the most physically fit that I ever have been. Because obviously spending all this time at home, it just gives you sort of free time to just work on. So I thought if I can't actually work on my driving aspect, then I'll just do everything I can with my fitness. So I've been training constantly every day. So that I'm in the best physical and I feel mental position that I ever have been ahead of the season. So I see as well with racing that there is a certain amount of luck that's needed to do well. But obviously luck, that isn't a factor that you can control. That's not in my hands. So I see that in my preparation for the season, I'll just focus on everything that I can change, get my driving to the best, get my fitness to the best ability. And then everything else will just sort itself out from there.
I've obviously found it very interesting meeting with youngsters like yourself who are racing drivers. And because I work in racing, all I see is the racing driver aspect. But it's hard, I think, for people to detach from that and remember that you are still a teenager going through your education. So how tough is it to try and integrate your school life into your racing life? Does it transcend quite well, or are there challenges that you have to try and adapt to?
It is quite difficult. Obviously, as I'm progressing through the years now, I'm still only in year 9, but obviously I'm moving into the top few years near my GCSEs. So it is quite a tricky combination, fitting in all schoolwork, training, and then obviously racing. So it's just about sort of getting that balance, which I feel I'm coping quite well with at the moment. But it is quite hard. It is a very full-on lifestyle, really. You don't really get a minute to just be yourself. But yeah, it's coping well at the minute. It's going well. So we'll just see.
Fantastic. Now, one of the things that's become a big talking point over the last 2 years is the massive increase in opportunities that there are for women in the sport. I mean, you've got W Series, which is now global. And even this year, you've got the return of Formula Woman. Now, I've got to ask, from someone who is a female racing driver, is that something that actually interests you and you see as a potential opportunity? Or is that something that doesn't really register on your radar? Because I know that the opinion is split.
Yeah, definitely. I see, obviously, W Series, for example, I think it's fantastic for a benchmark for women to really make that move into single-seater, full-on proper racing. So I definitely see it as something that I would definitely be interested in if the opportunity arises. To be honest, I also have another view of if you want to be the best, then you have to beat anybody or everybody. So to be honest, I don't mind taking it up against the boys and the men. So I just see it as whatever opportunity and whatever series that I could possibly get into, just to be the best that I can be, whether it's with women, whether it's with men, just to be the best you can be, you've got to be the best. So I sort of have two viewpoints, but I think on a whole, the concept behind the W Series is absolutely fantastic and gives a real good benchmark for women to get into the sport.
So essentially, you're the kind of racing driver who looks at it as it's an opportunity no matter what you get out of it. And you're the kind of racing driver that will accept any opportunity that comes your way.
Definitely, yeah. I'm open to anything that will come.
Fantastic. I guess now, obviously, the focus has got to be on the Daniel Ricciardo Series. You've been incredibly strong over the last 3 seasons. You've really built up quite an interesting development and progression in terms of your raw speed, because you came in as a novice and you were testing for an entire year before you even got into the racing kart. So that was actually a really ambitious program to, just have it on the sidelines and, not go racing at all. Watch the racing, obviously, but then testing. Do you feel that you're a more grounded racing driver, having actually spent that year getting to know the machinery before you actually jumped in to race it?
Definitely. Obviously, that year in 2017, we had no expectations going into 2018, but obviously we came to quite a few races to watch, and it just let me really have a feel for what was going on and just really take it all in, really. But yeah, as you say, from 2018, it's been an upward slope for me. And I feel that I've took momentum from each year and continued it forward, and I'm continuously improving. And I still think there are areas that can be improved. But that year testing in 2017 was definitely needed, and it's definitely accelerated my progress.
And of course, because you've had that and the grounding the last couple of seasons, you do come into 2021 as one of the favourites, both on paper and in terms of raw speed. So if you could win the Daniel Ricciardo Series in 2021, what's next? I mean, what is the target after that?
We're still assessing our options for next year. It's sort of still the unknown, really. We think we are going to do the Ginetta Scholarship. Again, I think the date's just been announced, actually. It's in November. But my main focus really for this year is definitely the Daniel Ricciardo Series, just delivering the results that I need. And then we will assess our options for next year. But I'm just hoping to be racing, whatever it may be, just to be in a car, whatever it is. I'm just looking forward to it. But this year is my main focus and priority for now.
I mean, one of the good things from your perspective is that you are in karting, which is probably the most diverse school for racing. It teaches you a lot about everything, really. You could jump straight into a sports car, into a single seater, into a tin top, into a rally car. You can pretty much do anything once you've mastered karting. I mean, do you have an ultimate ambition in racing at the moment? Or, being only a teenager at this point, I guess, is this the perspective still that the world is your oyster? You're still kind of figuring out what it is you want to do?
Yeah, definitely. I would just be open to a career in motorsport in whatever sense it is. I'm such a big racing fan that whatever it may be, whether it's not driving, if it's just sort of an engineer or something of that aspect of racing, I'd just love to be involved in the motorsport arena and motorsport scene. But obviously, as for now, I just love the driving aspect to it. Any opportunities that arise, I'll just jump at the opportunity. Hopefully, say in 10 years, I'm happy and I'm in a good place in the motorsport scene.
And you're fortunate at the moment at the stage of racing that you actually have a fair solid amount of support from people who genuinely have that same vision and that same guidance in terms of where your career is going. So that must be very beneficial.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, being surrounded by so many competitive racers as well, it really pushes me forward and really motivates me to do well.
It's amazing. I mean, your story is fantastic. We'd love to continue on finding out your progress as the season goes. Good luck at Hooton Park.
Thank you
in the
very
DRS.
much.
And when the first couple of weekends of the season are done, we'll come back to you and we'll figure out how things are getting on. It's brilliant to talk to you.
Thank you very much. And can I just add as well, just before we go, for this year, we've got some exciting projects coming up. I've just set up a relationship with Checkered Flag Motorsport, which is a non-profit community charity interest, which is all about raising funds and money for charities. So in the upcoming months, I'm going to be assigned with a charity to try and raise funds with them. So watch this space.
That is fantastic. We will definitely get onto the back of that as well. So Checkered Flag Motorsport, guys, give them a follow.
Thank you.
Alisha, thank you so much for spending time talking to us. And we will continue as your season progresses. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thanks so much for having me.
Hi, I'm Sam Bird.
Hi, my name's Johnny Adam. Hi guys, I'm Antonio Felix Acosta.
Hi, I am Jarno Trulli, and welcome here at the Downforce Radio.